This is what the 1800 gallon looks like after the major reshuffle. The notable additions are the giraffe catfish. The notable takeouts are the peacock bass, the big ones. I only left the smaller ones in here. So this tank is still ruled by the 11 Dorado Giardini. The bigger Giardini is still here. 2 of the remaining Piraiba. The light colored one dominates the dark colored one mercilessly. All the tiger shovelnose, the smaller ones, have been moved in here now. So there's various sizes of tiger shovelnose swimming around. The 2 Oscars are still here. Kayla the Oscar. The bigger Kelberry is here. It's too small to go into the perch land because when barramundi are 3 feet or over and Nile perch, they can gulp them down. Smaller dats are still here too. 2 of them. They're about a foot, maybe a little less. The 2 pike cichlids are here. There is 3 suncats. There's 1 new rescue from Joe. A video on its coming will be published separately. He's the smallest one over there. This guy right there in the middle. That's a smaller Kelberry. Stays here. This is the female mono from the 240 gallon tank. She too is too small to go into the perch land. The only gar remaining here is the spotted gar, the Garfield from Forest. Suddenly he became a very good eater with the departure of other gars and peacocks and arowana. Again, I took arowana out of here. Orlando's Brycon is still doing well. It added length, but he's not adding bulk for some reason. He's a very thin fish. He only eats scraps and pellets in the water column. So I don't know why he's so reserved in his feeding, but he's been here for a long time and doing okay. The Mahseer, like jungle perch, could go into the less aggressive 4500 gallon with the rest of the Mahseer, because it's not a Mahseer, but it's a biology and its behavior is exactly like a Mahseer. It's a very predatory carp. But he's a bit too small. I think he's probably about 14 inches or so. So I'm a little nervous putting it in the 4500 gallon, even though I think it'd do fine in there. There's the same size tilapia in there. And almost the same size, a little bigger phoenix carp. But fish like Rado, the red-tailed catfish, and Jello, even though Jellos don't eat big meals anymore, they really prefer smaller meals. They still could be eaten. Our only Hampala barb is the other name of them. Hampala macrolepidota, jungle perch. He's our only specimen, so I usually treasure a single a fish of its kind. If we have only one, I try to preserve them more rigorously than if we had multiples. The 3 soldier catfish, the 5 irwini catfish, and the 3 granulated catfish, all the armored catfish are still here. The 2 big lima shovelnose, about 20 inches. They always hang on the back. You can barely see them against the black wall. Andrew's tiger shovelnose is here. 4 years, probably about 15 inches. So all the giraffes, by the way, are now here. The 2 Volta were joined by the 2 Congo, 1 Bush, and 1 Niger. So they're all here. The niger is all the way over there by the back. He's probably our rarest giraffe catfish. I've never seen another one from the Niger River. All others I've seen a lot of, but this is the only one I've ever known of that came from the Niger River. It looks a little different. This is bush. We used to have two, now we have only one. And that's Niger climbing up. Don't confuse with the Niger catfish. It's got a funny, I mean, look at the shape of his mouth. He's got two bones sticking out widely before the snout narrows into the tip point. So I don't know why, but I think this is normal for them because it doesn't look like a disease or deformity. It's symmetrical on both sides. So its mouth is smaller, and then all of a sudden it expands as you go up the snout, much bigger. They all have this bone, but it's different structure. See, bush also has this bone, but it's at an angle, at a less of an angle, not as steep, versus the Niger. Mike and Amanda's cichlid, pike cichlid is here. I fed this thing heavy yesterday, so it's a little, some crumbs and excrement is floating around. Apologize for that. The Datnoid perches are just a little bit too small to go into the perch land. They need to put on another maybe 6 inches, or at least 3 inches. They're very tall-backed fish, which makes them safer. But I don't want to tempt the barramundi and the Nile perch with them. Alright, the two vultures are still here. Since the vulture catfish grow, the adults are very much sedentary and unentertaining versus the youngsters. Youngsters are hugely entertaining, especially when you're feeding them. It's one of the wildest feeding frenzy dances you'd ever see, feeding a school of young vulture catfish. Alright, so I think we covered all the residents in this tank. Niger again. A Volta male. He doesn't have this cheekbone. Yep. Now you can see very well the cheekbones. Very visible, very stiff, we're very steeply angled. There's only one tiger Oscar remaining, as I said, right here. That's from Mike and Amanda's. And our Kaylu here. Everybody else was either adopted or died from old age. The pike cichlid, a generous gift from Roosevelt, doing very well. Very confident now, not hiding in the driftwood anymore, swims around. These two pikes don't bother each other, which is good and unexpected, but they're fine with each other completely. Among the granulated catfish, one is huge. I mean, it's 2.5 feet probably. Another one is a 2 foot, and the newest one from Matthew Long, who adopted out 2 of them. We kept one of the biggest we kept. It's probably about 20-22 inches, a little under 2 foot. Maybe it's already 2 foot. It's hard to say. The tank and the water make them look smaller than they are, about 10%. But it also depends how far they are from the glass that you're looking at them. Tanks always make fish look smaller, because people evaluate the size by distance. Our brain evaluates the distance to an object, and then that helps it evaluate the size. The distance looks shorter in the tank. I mean, we see things and they appear closer to us than they are in the reality. So because they're closer, we think they're that big, but in reality they're a little farther off. So in reality they're bigger. The closer an object is to you, the bigger it would look. The farther it is from you, the smaller it would look. So the tank and the water making it look closer to you fools your brain into thinking it's a smaller size, because in reality it's farther away.